Good day, Mr. Ngaleka. Welcome to Addressing the Challenges of Rural Transportation, the case of municipality in Limpopo Province. And thank you for joining me today. My name is Muano Cindy. And if I may ask, who is Ntsikelelo Ngaleka?
Yes.
Who are you?
So my name is Ntsikelelo Ngaleka, and I am a lot of things. I'm doing quite a lot in this world. I'm an extraordinaire, I'm an art enthusiast, I'm a radio presenter, I am a radio producer, I am, I am everything. I am everything that you want me to be, that you think I am, I'm that. Anytime.
Now you're a podcaster.
Right now, I'm the biggest thing.
Okay, so if we go right into it, so about this transportation talks, it's based on rural transportation. So I will ask you, how do you view the rural transportation as a person who grew up in Johannesburg?
So having grown up in Johannesburg, I've never really had to deal with, traveling, I guess, in a rural area. And so with that, I can't say I have that much experience, but in my very, few times having gone to the Eastern Cape, having gone to Matatiele in the Eastern Cape, in a village that is in the very outskirts of the country, of the city, even just next to the border of Lesotho, even. I have, we've had, transport struggles really, because you start to realize that there's no real public transport system that is fully functional, especially for the villages that are on the outskirts of the town, and also that there isn't such reliable public transport, yes, and private usership of cars by individuals and general citizens. And so in a day you probably have like two cars passing by, like one at night, and it's probably the same car. In the whole village there's just one, and it's also coming from another village. It's just passing through your village, and your whole village
And
is
it's
no
already
one.
full.
It's already full. And yeah,
And you're spending another hour to get where you're going.
and you just have to go on, from the village, from my village, which is Outspan, which is next to the border of Lesotho. And so you have to go on to, like, I think 2 villages after our village, nearing the city. That's when you can get transport, like your taxis, or at least if not taxis, your lifts. You can get onto a buggy and whatnot.
I know, right? And me living in the rural areas my whole life, I had to experience that every day, and I know what you're talking about. It's frustrating, but we move on.
We have to, there's no other way.
And the thing is that even though you put this attention to the municipality, they don't really do anything about it, because they don't even see the problem, because they're not facing it. Then I don't know, when something doesn't concern you, I think you just don't care. I don't know.
The other thing is, it's not even not caring really, but you have to think about municipal priorities, I guess, because many municipalities are not fully functional in the way that they should be. And so there's always, municipalities being put under administration because they are failing in terms of electricity, in terms of water, in terms of service provision. They are failing in that. And so you can't, place such priority on transport when you can't also provide, proper clean water to your citizens. You can't place transport at the helm of everything when you're failing to also provide, clean sanitary water, not just only water, but also sanitary facilities, the picking up of people's waste, and basically all of that. So if you're failing at that, you would think that transportation is not anywhere near your concerns.
I think also because it's a rural transportation, there's not much population there where you'd be like, oh, we have to focus on this thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I also think that is the
and
thing.
People in the villages, they don't use transportation like extensively like that. And so if there's one bus that is coming in the morning, it'll be just that one bus that's coming in, and then it'll come back in the evening, because you have to realize that also people are in their villages, most of them are poor, they're living below, like they're living hand to mouth as it is. And so sometimes even just paying for that bus ticket is really just too much, and so they would rather walk. And there's so many challenges with people who are living in rural areas, and that also affect how service is also provided to them, because even when municipalities do provide services to us, we have to pay the rates. And with being poor, being in the rural villages also, sometimes you cannot pay the rates.
Yeah, that's all right, because I don't think also people in the rural areas pay tax, things like that. People don't even buy property there.
Yeah.
We just go somewhere and just put a stand there. Some don't even pay for electricity, and I feel like you do have a point. I've been arguing that we really need transportation. From where I stay, I think the population is right to have transportation, because people are going to school, we have to get where we're going, we have to get to our workplaces, and it's just so difficult. Me, as I say, that I lived there in rural places my whole life, I had to go to school, but then I will not get there like on time every day. I have to move to another place next to school, so that I can get a good education. And what about people who can't afford to do that?
Yes.
So I know that transportation might not be like the priority to the municipality, but then
it is still very much an important
at the same time, it's needed. It's a need.
Yes, definitely so.
Yeah,
definitely so. I mean, like, I'm gonna also come in, and speak on transportation in itself, and that as much as it is a need, it also needs to benefit the municipality, right? Because I'm speaking about paying the rates, right? And because if they're going to provide the services for like buses and whatnot, so that they can curb people not going to school, people arriving late at work, and people just not having basic transport system, like if they're gonna come in and provide a solution to that, it needs to benefit them, and in a way that is more than just citizens being happy that transportation is there. So money needs to be put in that we have to pay tickets, we have to pay whatever they're gonna, maybe before even maybe that system is established, if the municipality does not particularly have enough money for that, you're gonna have to maybe raise something within the municipality, maybe your fees that you have to pay on a monthly basis based on the services that they already provide, so that we can make funds for the new incoming transportation system. And so that's also something that is quite tricky, but as much as you did say, it is something that's very necessary, because we do need transportation systems, working transportation systems that we're going to use. Even here in Gauteng, I live in Ekurhuleni, and we do have Ekurhuleni buses, but it's almost as if there's no need for them, in that people just don't go to them. People just go to faster mediums of transportation or modes of transportations, like your taxis and whatnot. And because these they don't go everywhere where you want to go. There's one that comes here into the city, there's one that goes into our city center at Germiston, there's one that goes to Springs, there's one that goes to Boksbeek and Benoni and Kempton Park also. And so sometimes you have to think about the fact that this bus is also taking such a very extremely long route to get to where you want to get to, and that's not where your mind is at. When you come out of the house, going to work, going to school, you just want to get there. So there needs to be transportation that is tailored to that. And so when we speak about schools and whatnot, the schools themselves will then need to be the ones that are providing transportations to specific individuals who are staying in this particular area or in that particular area, because the municipality, in as much as it can provide as much as it can, it cannot cater to everyone in the way and in the capacity that they would need to be catered to.
That's all right. And I know those things, because I also had like this conversation with a professional planner where he also brought it up, saying that in rural places, in small towns actually, not just rural places. Now we're talking about towns, that there is no public transportation service at all, and that has been implemented maybe 10 years ago, and today it's still not working. So you also saying that in a big city it's not really necessary. Imagine putting that on rural areas where there's no money to start with. It's putting pressure on the municipality, and I feel like people will end up not doing a great job on that, and it will just be a fail and a waste of money. And then I think this is where we think like the cultural practices and the traditions in municipality or certain villages come in and help out a lot. You do agree with me? Because I feel like just the community coming together, the traditional leaders coming together and providing those services. Because I don't know if you know this, but then in certain villages, there's that one man who has a bakkie, and he's transporting everyone, and then you're just like, at this point, we're just gonna, the municipality is not even doing anything. We're just gonna do this for ourselves. And I remember we also had a case at home. We had a case where the community, people who had like private cars, but then not so many of them. It's few. They came together and went to a meeting with the traditional leader, and then they were like, okay, let's pave in places where we can't get through, like when it rains, like in steepy roads, it gets slippery and people can't really get home. So that even got bad. So they were like, okay, let's pave those areas. Let's contribute money. Also, people don't really agree with everything. People who don't have cars are like, they came in, they're like, but then we don't have cars. Why do we have to pay? At the same time, I'm like, you're using my car to get somewhere. You need favor and you don't want to help somehow. And sometimes it's not even about that. It's about money, not that it had them not having money. And I feel like everything is just a mess. When I say that, am I allowed to say that everything is just a mess?
It happens. It really does. Because parties that are interested in bringing in development in some way, in whatever capacity, sometimes we are very much interested. Even our communities are very interested in making sure that we are as developed as we can be, because development also plays into our sense of community, and also plays into what we can do and what we are then allowed to do, even as general citizens, right? When we do live, maybe say in a developed area, maybe your village maybe it gets some form of development, roads, tar roads, and it's convenient for everyone. It's very much convenient for everyone. Instead of gravel or dirt roads, it's very much convenient for everyone. People with cars, and not even just people with cars. Now it can also sometimes reflect on even maps, and all of that.
But then also gravel roads also reflect.
They do. But like I'm saying, it's just easier even for people, because when people are, especially when people are coming in from outside of your village, people who have never been to your village, and they coming in with maps, that's the expectation that they have.
I know, because also we have this tourism thing happening down there. We have an amazing views. That one thing I'm gonna tell you, we have amazing views. So, and that has been bringing business to the to the village, and but then also the problem is that people can't really come with you can't come with your Audi, you can't come with your Beamer. It's gonna scratch, my dear, it's gonna scratch. You need a bakkie when you come there. You need a Land Rover. You see, you are poor. You can't even afford a Land Rover. You can't buy a Polo. I'm telling you, I've never met someone who owns a Polo at my... This is not funny, but then it's funny at the same time. But then I've never met someone who owns a Polo. If you can't afford a bakkie, then just don't do it. Don't do it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It really does happen, because what we are faced with here in Gauteng is even more, potholes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And so, and even when community members, sometimes you write to the municipality and you have meetings with people from the municipality and the service, they just don't do things as fast. And so we decide that we're actually going to pitch this up. People, and especially when we're asking for contributions, they be like, we are pedestrians, we don't have cars.
Yeah.
And so people who have cars are the ones to concern themselves with this, because we do not have cars, and so we're not to be bothered with having to fix potholes.
Yeah.
We don't use potholes. We are not bothered by them. They're just there. We just walk around them, and so there's that. But you start to understand that this does affect all of us.
It does.
At any moment, if you do decide at whatever time that you're gonna have a car, it's gonna be something that you have to deal with, or even your kids, or people who are visiting you.
Yes.
And it's almost, sometimes it feels as if it's now your responsibility when someone was visiting you, coming all the way from wherever they're coming from, and just before they reach your house, they hit a pothole, it's a flat tire, or the tire just is finished, and now
it's gonna feel bad.
Yeah, and now you're gonna have to kind of
like,
chime in, help them in some way, and so you could also just come in and engage as a community and be an active participant in making sure that everything that in your community is as good as it needs to be outside of the municipality. It's also very bad that we have to do that. The fact that we have to engage even as community members outside of the municipality on things that are supposed to be dealt with by the municipality.
Yeah, that's when we see what a participatory planning approach does. It does give you a way to use it because it's there.
Yeah.
You have to participate, but then people don't really want to do it. And then what are we gonna do when we have tools, but then people don't really want to use them? I don't know.
One of the biggest things, I guess, it's not even people not really wanting to use them. It's to really find out if people actually even know about these tools.
Yeah.
How to use them. It's not even not wanting, because what we are afraid of is new things, new technology, and whatnot. Because one of the fears is that I might try to do this thing and everyone is looking at me, I will do it wrong. And next thing, everyone is on my case.
Or
you should have done it like this. Yes,
yeah,
being scammed.
They fear of being scammed, especially when people are old in rural
areas. Yes, and so
they're scared.
And now we're really just afraid of things that we are not used to. And so I would rather suffer with, whatever problem that I have than allow another person.
Know.
Yeah, that I know. I've lived with this problem.
I can continue.
Yeah, I know how to walk around it.
It's not.
It's not a huge problem. It's a problem I'd like to get solved, but also it doesn't disturb my life completely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that. People are just afraid of trusting new techniques, new technology, and it's a huge hindrance when it comes to development. Not only just in rural South Africa, in South Africa at large, even Africa, the continent at large.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is amazing, because I didn't know that we're gonna just be pouring out our frustration about transportation, not just for transportation, but everywhere. That this is not just a problem in rural
areas.
It's everywhere. We deal with this thing everywhere. Where there's attention, no attention, it's just a burden to the nation.
Very much.
Yeah. So thank you, Ntsikelelo, for being here and just giving me your thoughts on this topic. It was so helpful, and you just helped me to see things work, because I didn't live here in Johannesburg, so I was just focused on my frustration.
On in the village. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was also such a very insightful conversation, because you start to realize that sometimes you don't see a problem with some of the things, you just live with them until someone raises them.
Yes.
And for you, it's of course expected, because that's how you've lived your life. But when someone raises it, you start to see that actually this is a real problem. It's a very huge problem.
It's happening. It's happening.
And so it needs eyes, it needs attention, it needs to be attended to as soon as can be.